Oh, I wouldn't think so. There you see on the left, Alex Bastecki, of course, an invitational champion, sitting at 7-0 with 4-color Shadow. Meanwhile, over on the right-hand side, Noah Strasler, 7-0 with Grixis Death Shadow.
Alex even has his token. He's signing it?
He is. Giving one to his opponent. I love it. Nice work, Alex. Opponent says, I didn't ask for this.
Take this back.
Alex going to go ahead, cycle Street Wraith on turn 1. Wild Nacatl. Haven't seen much of that cat chilling around Modern.
An oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is going to be Wooded Foothills into Overgrown Tomb into 1/1 cat, because the hand is full of black cards.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that might be the case here. Here is the fetch. Let's see what land Alex wants to go get. One of the issues with this 4-color Shadow deck is, of course, the mana base.
It's 4 colors. That's not easy.
It's not. It's not.
Looks like we're going the Blood Crypt route to enable Death Shadow and Lightning Bolt, perhaps.
People who know my general deck predilections might not expect this. I actually love Wild Nacatl. I love when the card's good. I love casting it. Aggressive Zoo is kind of how I got my feet wet in Legacy, so certainly one of the decks I really appreciated. Has not been strong in Modern for quite some time now.
You remember when Nacatl was banned?
I do remember that.
It's too good.
It's not.
1 mana 3/3. Now we have 1 mana 5/5s.
Right.
1 mana 12/12s.
Yeah, things have changed. Things have changed dramatically, and turns out Nacatl was not the problem card at the first Modern Pro Tour, where it did okay, considering the field it was facing.
That's just because Raptor is very lucky.
I guess, I mean, something happened
He's
where
kind
he
of
was able
good,
to do
too.
well in that tournament.
He's kind of good, but very, very lucky.
Bastecki going to go ahead and resolve Thoughtseize here, taking out the Gurmag Angler, the only threat in Strasler's hand right now. See his hand comprised of 2 Thoughtseize and a Dismember. I think we saw a 3rd Thoughtseize off the top there. Strasler going to go ahead and fire one. Bastecki with a few more threats in hand. A little bit more diverse of a hand, I would say.
Don't know that you could call this Wild Nacatl a threat.
It's a card.
It is a magic card.
Strasler's going to go ahead and take Thoughtseize here. And Bastecki warming up the hands, ready to go on the next turn. Definitely going to peel the Sacred Foundry off the top.
No, you want Street Wraith into fetch land. That's what you want. That's the good stuff.
That's a good one, too. Here is the peel. What's it going to be? Fetch land would be great here. It is a fetched land. It's a Wooded Foothills.
It's a start. Problem is with this Overgrown Tomb, now you can't get Sacred Foundry because you can't play Death Shadow and Wild Nacatl on the same turn.
Awkward.
So you could fetch a Sacred Foundry, play Death Shadow, have Lightning Bolt open in case Noah just goes for the Dismember.
Yeah. Interesting little line there.
But it's also awkward because you know that Noah has a Thoughtseize will likely lead on that, and then if you try to bolt yourself, Noah could Dismember in response. So if you're going to bolt, you probably have to do it main phase, and I don't recommend it.
That's a hard read. Looks like we are going to get Sacred Foundry.
All right. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Is Alex going to go all in on this Death Shadow?
It is Death Shadow. He's reaching for the Sacred Foundry. Nope, passes the turn. Over to Noah. Noah takes a draw, finds a Snapcaster Mage.
No, you need to play the land first, Noah. He might bolt himself now.
Casting Thoughtseize instead. Let's see. Is Bastecki ready to turn that Lightning Bolt on himself? He's thinking about it. Yeah, there it is. Lightning Bolt, target myself. Strasler kind of walked into that one a little bit. Could have played the land.
Yeah, they both knew it was there.
So in that case, you make the argument that Bastecki should have just fired it on main phase, like you said, knowing what his opponent has. But opponent gave a window to play back.
Basically, this is the same thing as if Alex used it on his main phase, right? Maybe that changes Noah's turn a little bit.
That's true. It is an information leak.
And Noah's like, whatever, I'm going to fetch shock, take them both with another Thoughtseize, leave you with nothing.
Yeah, and Noah just going to have to find an answer for this big Death Shadow. Only Snapcaster Mage and Dismember in hand, so going to need a little bit of help if he's able to find it. Can chump block for a few turns.
Well, there's 4 Fatal Pushes in the deck and 4 Death Shadows that are very, very live draws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Dismember in hand, you'd be more than happy to pull a Death Shadow off the top. What did Bastecki find? Death Shadow presently a 6/6. 1 mana 6/6, making Wild Nikado look very silly. It's going to be a fetch land, and that's going to drop the life total even lower. Looking to make a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, sometimes all that matters in these Shadow Mirrors is having the biggest Death Shadow and making it so that if your opponent draws and can play one, that yours just abysses theirs completely.
And here is that big Death Shadow rumbling in. Noah needing to find answers quickly. What was the draw?
Alex's Death Shadow hit means it's kind of backwards, though. Because now Noah's Death Shadow is going to be bigger than his. It's possible Alex could have waited on the fetch land to brick a potential Death Shadow off the top for his opponent, but it's tough. I mean,
the sizing is so complicated, so many things to consider here.
Right. I mean, you could also just make the argument for, well, it's better to get my opponent to 2 instead of 4, so then my lightning bolts are lethal.
Follow up here, Gurmag Angler.
Also known as Chump Blocker.
Classic 5/5 Chump Blocker. Just going to get thrown in front of that 9/9. Looks like another land off the top for Alex. Attack, block. Same situation as last turn. Can Noah find something here? Here's a Mishra's Bauble. That's going to get a card deeper. But it appears Snapcaster Mage now is going to be the one on chump blocking duty. Takes a look at the top card of Library. Probably could have just looked at Alex's top card, although either piece of information unlikely to change anything. Passes the turn, draws the card. What's a flip card?
Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
Correct. Here is the Snapcaster Mage. That's going to hop in front of Death Shadow. I think Alex with Mutagenic Growth in hand, possibly?
Yep.
Not super relevant. Here's a Thought Scour. Can go ahead, fire that off. See if we can turn up that Fatal Push we're looking for. It's the draw off the top. Didn't quite catch it. Possibly Gurmag Angler again. Maybe that's ready to go back on chump blocking duty. How many turns do you want to spend in the Abyss, Noah? Looks like it's going to be Jace Vryn's Prodigy instead. Looking to maybe preserve that lethal attack if he is able to find the Fatal Push. Yes, there is Jace.
That makes a lot of sense.
Alex takes a draw. I think it was another land. So he just makes the block for his opponent, throws it in the graveyard. Noah says, wait, where'd my card go?
It's where it belongs.
Passes the turn back. It's a Thoughtseize. That one's no good. All right, here's Gurmag Angler. Alex, play my turn for me, please. Alex taking a draw here. It's a Thoughtseize. Not super useful. Passes the turn back to Noah. There's a Death Shadow.
Uh-oh.
And now things have changed.
I mean, Alex still has the ability to make his shadow bigger.
Via Mutagenic Growth.
Or the fetch land in play.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his own Thoughtseize,
Got a Thoughtseize. Yeah, has options here, for sure. Going to want to get that sizing just right here. Comes the Death Shadow. Here's the block. Here's the mutagenic growth. Alex going to fall to 2 and give that Death Shadow +2/+2. Can't fire off that Dismember.
Oh, technically could.
It
would come at a cost.
It would be a game-losing play. We'll say that. Here's a Snapcaster Mage. Looks like it's ready to do some more chump blocking. Probably going to fire off a Thought Scour, try and find that answer finally.
Yeah, and you want to do this main phase in case you find a shock land or a fetch land that you can play this turn.
Found a Death Shadow instead, so we're going to keep doing this dance unless Alex finds something.
A lot of lethal cards.
For sure. Alex is going to go ahead and fetch, fall to 1. How many lightning bolts are we working with over on Noah's side?
0.
0 lightning bolts.
All pushes and dismembers.
Things have been trending that way lately.
It makes sense. You need cards to kill thing in the ice.
Yep. Yeah, the red aspect of the Grixis Death Shadow decks has been toned down in recent weeks.
Yeah, it just gets lighter and lighter. Now is basically just Teamer Battle Rage and sideboard cards.
Alex takes a draw. It's another threat. It's a Tarmogoyf. That's a big one.
Well, if you couldn't beat this Death Shadow, you can't beat both of these, almost certainly.
Well, he has outs. If he hits this Fatal Push at some point, it's going to matter.
Yeah, still has the Death Shadow to block, so you are right. Just need to scour into a push, and that's it.
Randomly determining Tarmogoyf sizing. Here is that Thought Scour. Bins 2 cards, draws 1. It's a land. Gonna play that untapped. Thought sees you. Okay. I have seen your cards, and I will now pick up mine. Another weird match of Magic, to be sure. Death Shadow just putting Noah Strasler in the abyss fairly early on in that matchup.
Lightning bolt my face.
Well, it's time to go to the sideboard, and we are looking at, over on Alex's side, 3 Collective Brutalities, 2 Hooting Mandrills, 2 Fatal Push, 2...
Faith Shield.
Faith Shield, okay. Not one I've seen a lot of recently. 2 Assassin's Trophy, 1 Inquisition of Kozilek, 1 Duress, 1 Claim to Fame. That's a weird one I haven't seen much of. Very hyped when it was initially printed. And finally, 1 Ancient Grudge. Jerry, what do you like for Alex here?
Well, a lot of this weird stuff, quote-unquote weird stuff, is just coming from Magic Online technology, like Claim Fame, Face Shield. These are things that I've been seeing play in this deck. Face Shield is mostly for racing against other aggressive decks like Burn and stuff.
Okay.
Basically, you just want threats and removal. I think the common wisdom of the discard is pretty bad in these matchups is sort of true here. I do feel like the games go long, and you saw that game where like both players had Thoughtseizes at the end, and they weren't really doing a whole lot. But also, Thoughtseize helps clear the way for a big threat. So I like having Thoughtseize specifically, but I wouldn't go towards Inquisition or Duress. I do like Claim. I like the trophies. I like the pushes. I like the Mandrills. And that's about it from Alex's side. And then probably things like Mutagenic Growth you don't really need. Maybe you want to get rid of some of the weaker threats like Wild Nacatl, but probably just keep those.
Meanwhile, over on Noah's side, we see 1 Ceremonious Rejection, 1 Oops, all white borders. I think that's a Call Against command in this case. 1 Spell Pierce, 1 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Abrades, 2 Liliana, the Last Hope, 2 Engineered Explosives, and finally 4 Leyline of the Void. Jerry, what are you doing on Noah's side?
Spell Snare's pretty decent at countering Tarmogoyf. Not a ton of targets, really. If you're super scared of Teamer Battle Rage, if you think your opponent's going to leave those in, obviously, like that's a primo target. Abrade is okay against the smaller creatures. Liliana helps you grind. Explosives kills the bigger stuff, which is important. And the K command, the mono white card there in Noah's sideboard, I think is also potentially helpful.
Yeah, I think Engineered Explosive is one of the key cards in this matchup, to be sure, just keeping down Alex's threats. He's going to want to be the aggressor here in most instances.
Alex is.
Yes.
Correct, yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, let's see who's going to be the aggressor in our next instance of Commander versus,
It's
of
Stephen
course,
Green.
always Stephen Green, no matter what.
That's my guess.
Okay, you're probably right. Of course, we go live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern with Star City Games Commander versus. Also, all of our Commander versus people featured, of course, on our tokens right now. You're going to want to check those out. Get your hands on some. I have my signed copies now. Very excited about it. You want to check that out at twitch.tv/SCG Tour, right where you are right now. And you'll get some great Commander action every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Don't be bragging, man. You only have your Jeremy signed so far.
I've literally just been running around the entire time getting my tokens signed.
I don't even think Suarez and Parnell are here.
Thanks. Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate it. You blew up my story. I was trying to make it seem like I was accumulating all these tokens and hoarding them so people would want to fight for them, and you've completely ruined that narrative.
Look, man, I'm not going to let you brag over nothing.
I'm here to build hype. Jerry's here to drag it down.
I'm here to keep it real.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. Well, this matchup's keeping it real.
Well, you see Cedric Phillips in the background keeping it real.
Yeah. Puzzled by something on his phone. Maybe he's watching us. Hi, Cedric. How you doing? He looks like he's doing good. He's having a good time over there.
You're right, man. He does look puzzled.
Yeah.
Wonder what's going through his head right now.
Maybe he's rewatching that Wur mirror, or the Wur matchup from last round. He's seeing the Zer's wording in play, and he's like, what is happening here? So Alex and Noah just shuffling up here, getting ready for game 2. Who do you think's generally favored in this matchup?
I think on paper and in theory, it's Grixis Death Shadow, but in Death Shadow mirrors, I like being the aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
It can be awkward sometimes. You get in like that chip damage with Wild Nicottle and then it just fuels their giant Death Shadow.
Yeah. Strange spot. A lot of intricacies, of course.
But you're right that Grixis has to be the control deck, and I just don't think that they really have the tools to do that.
Well, they've tried to add some of those tools in recent weeks. Of course, we've been talking about Jace, Vryn's Prodigy, bringing things back to a little bit more of a controlling stance for the Grixis Death Shadow deck, moving away from the red cards, having just actual hard removal that always works as opposed to Lightning Bolt. They're definitely moving away from being the aggressors as they make more and more changes to the deck.
Yeah, and I think Lightning Bolt is great because it allows you to win games with Bolt, Snap, Lightning Bolt. Especially matchups like this where there's just a lot of damage happening on both sides.
Well, it's just not a place for it in the format right now.
Bolt is great. It is not great at killing creatures. Most of the creatures in the format outsize it, but is great at killing players.
Very true. We've seen it quite a bit here today. Interesting point here. Noah, Grixis Death Shadow player, taking the draw. They love drawing.
This is the third time today.
They just love it.
Third
now,
time that we've seen.
And now here's a turn 1 Monastery Swiftspear.
Yeah, do you want to
claimed the aggressive role? Clearly has Alex.
Do you want to be on the draw against Monastery Swiftspear? I don't.
Nope.
That's terrifying.
I do not either. Let's see if it pays off for Noah. Gonna go ahead, deploy Mishra's Bauble, take a look at that top card, see if he wants to keep it around. Has the technology gone too far, forcing all these poor Grixis Death Shadow players to constantly take the draw against their own best interests?
I will take the draw against your Monastery Swiftspear, and then I will punch myself in the face with this Watery Grave.
Bastecki's like, lightning bolt you? Oh yeah, I'm dead, thanks. So let's see how brutal this Swiftspear attack's going to be. Bastecki lining up some options here. We see Tarmogoyf in hand. There's a red spell floating there. Not quite sure what that one is. I think it's a Temur Battle Rage.
It's a Battle Rage and a Claim to Fame.
So here comes that Swiftspear, beating him for just 1 point of damage here. Gonna go ahead, crack a fetch land. Do a little damage to himself is Bastecki.
Oh my, he's even got the, he brought in the face shields. I love it. Hopefully get to see that card in action.
Interesting little bit of spice here in the 4-color Shadow deck is Faith Shield. Not a card that saw a lot of play during its standard tenure. Here's a Tarmogoyf. Bastecki didn't think that was going to stick. Worried about a little Spell Snare action. Instead, cycling a Street Wraith.
Nah, man, he wants that to die. He wants to claim that thing back.
There you see Faith Shield. 1 white instant, target permanent you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Fateful Hour, if you have 5 or less life. Instead, you and each permanent you control gain protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Enabling those alpha strikes in bog down situations. Countering lethal lightning bolts. All kinds of good stuff this Faith Shield can do.
I love these decks in Modern, and we've seen a few of these this weekend that are just, what are the best 1 mana and 0 mana cards I can play in my colors?
It's a lot of what Modern's about right now. There's the hard synergy decks, and then there's decks finding the best 1-drops. And those are kind of the 2 camps we're playing right now. Noah really debating this turn. I agree, this is a key turn for Noah. Needs to do something to stem the bleeding a little bit.
Yeah, and he's potentially dead in 2 turns.
Yeah,
So
gonna go ahead and fetch here.
got to come up with something.
If he played nothing, he'd be dead on board, given the Teamer Battle Rage and Bastecki's hand.
Well, right.
I guess that's not dead on board. He'd be dead. Strasler gonna go ahead and fetch here. There is a Death Shadow. That's a 4/4 right now. Not blocking Tarmogoyf yet. We'll see if that changes.
Yeah, Tarmogoyf's a 4/5, but Noah's Stubborn Denial is online, so that's good. I think Noah's got a pretty good block on Monastery Swiss Spear, especially with the Stubborn Denial to back it up. So need to live through this turn and either need to outgrow that Tarmogoyf or get rid of it.
With that claim to fame, Bastecki also has the option of a chump attack, which I think is interesting. Looks like Death Shadow just going to hop in front of Tarmogoyf here. Bastecki considering additional plays, possibly. He is going to cast Teamer Battle Rage.
Yeah, so that was, I think, no blocks from Noah.
Here's Stubborn Denial. Got to go ahead and answer that Teamer Battle Rage. So it looks like Tarmogoyf does just go through.
Yep. In
Noah
for 4
falls,
damage.
Noah falls to 5. Alex is going to go ahead and fetch here.
Now, Alex could be dead to a Teamer Battle Rage.
Teamer Battle Rage Mirror is a scary one, to be sure. Going to go ahead, get Overgrown Tomb here. Untapped. What's the follow-up for Alex?
1 kitten.
That's what it looks like. There it is. And Noah takes the turn back. Takes a draw. It's a Thoughtseize. It's like Thoughtseize and a lot of lands.
Yeah.
Lot of lands.
Yeah, Thoughtseize might be a little bit too late, and especially since Alex can just Alpha Strike around the Death Shadow anyway.
All lands? Are those all lands?
There's a Liliana in there.
Okay. At least there's something, but not exactly what Noah's looking for right now.
Could deploy Liliana the Last Hope and likely be dead on board.
No other real options for Noah. This game might just be over. Have to say, don't like taking the draw here.
It doesn't look great.
I mean, granted, Noah's hand kind of awful, although he used mana pretty efficiently.
Yes.
Nothing has really gone wrong as far as that's concerned. So again, that points me very much towards wanting to be on the play and not the draw.
Also, nothing has really happened in this game that would indicate that you would want to be on the draw. Like, I think there was just like a gross overestimation of how much your cards would be trading off one for one.
Right. I think even in pure Shadow Mirrors, taking the draw is tenuous. In something like Grixis Death Shadow versus 4-color, you're even more pointed in the direction of not taking the draw.
This is where you just turn the Nicodle upside down to indicate that it has been Liliana'd.
One of those newfangled shortcuts we're using here in the Magic community. We catch off the top there. Everyone's coming in.
It's a mutagenic.
We got a
growth.
mutagenic growth. That's going to be good enough.
Yeah, while Nicodole's 1 power, Swiftspear is going to get a prowess trigger. That's 5 total.
Noah says thumbs up. Does a little math. Says, yes, I am in fact dead. And Alex Bastecki going to move to 8-0 with 4-color Shadow. Impressive stuff there from Alex.
Not bad for the former Invitational champ who, as far as I know, doesn't even get to play a whole lot of Magic.